This summer I did a workshop that I called Poetry and the Practice of Listening for hospice volunteers throughout New Jersey, and did a couple of sessions for about 20 people in each session. And from their response, it felt like this is something they hadn't really considered in this way before. And one of the things I discovered is, we were talking earlier about gauging what situations this is right for. I think it's something that's always right for hospice workers, volunteers, and others. Because one of the things poetry does is make us listen to ourselves. A good poem that invites us to ask questions and to really listen. And if you're going to be a hospice worker, you have to be a good listener. You have to meet people where they are and help them get where they have to go on their own terms. Right. So I think poetry as a practice, a form of healing, but also just support and reinforcement for hospice volunteers and hospice workers in general. And I'll give an example of that. Again, this was with my first hospice patient, and I had read a number of poems for him and his wife and daughter over a period of weeks. And shortly before he died, when he was in a coma, I read a poem for them. I'm not going to read the whole poem because it's a little longer. It's by a guy named John Daniel, and it's called To Earth. And it ends with the lines, "Birds, trees, this field of light where I and each of us walk once." And as I said that line, the wife repeated the word once and sort of collapsed into my arms and cried. And when I said the poem, I was conscious that this was a little risky. But I think it's fair to say it was what she needed at that moment to be able to get out what she was feeling, which, again, was not so much about talking as about just letting the emotion out. And so much nature poetry, as it's called, is about helping us understand the ways in which we participate in this same dance of things blossoming and decaying. Yeah. And somehow in our culture, we've come to view dying as the negative outcome of a medical procedure, you know. And we need to come back to an understanding of dying as the last wonderful thing we do in a wonderful life. Doing this work when we know where we have to go. Theodore Retke has a poem called The Waking. It's a villanelle. You'll hear the repetitions. I wake to sleep and let my waking go. I feel my fate in what I cannot fear. I learn by waking where I have to go. We think by feeling. What is there to know? I hear my being dance from ear to ear. I wake to sleep and take my waking slow. Of those so close beside me, which are you? God bless the ground, we shall walk softly there, and learn by going where I have to go. Light takes the tree, but who can tell us how? The lowly worm climbs up a winding stair. I wake to sleep and take my waking slow. Great nature has another thing to do to you and me, so take the lively air, and lovely, learn by going where to go.